Good evening, everyone. Today is August 5th, 2019. The 40th meeting of the 23rd Council will come to order. All councilors are present this evening. Next, we will have a moment of silence led by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilor Sanchez. But before we do the moment of silence, I would just like for everyone to keep in their thoughts and their prayers our neighbors in El Paso, Texas, and our friends in Daytona, Ohio.
Please join me in the pledge.
Do we not have a couple of Boy Scout troops who are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Actually, we do. I'm sorry. Thank you, Councilor Jones. We have Boy Scout Troop 280 with Scoutmaster Chris Wilson and from Councilor Jones's district. Thank you. You guys make your way up here. I apologize for that, Councilor.
And also Troop 211 with Troop Leader Randy Smith.
And Randy Smith's from District 8. Your troops from District 8.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President, for indulging me. I must say that Troop 211, which is out of District 8, all of the young men here this evening are working towards their Eagle badges. So congratulations.
And I will yield to our troops to lead us in the pledge.
Scouts, attention. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next, Civic Plaza parking passes are provided for members of the public. You can obtain a parking pass from council staff at the sign-up table. The council will take a break at approximately 7 p.m. this evening if needed. We want tonight's proceedings to be as civil and respectful as possible. Please do not make any personal attacks, and please no applause or other outbursts during the meeting. The meeting will go a lot smoother if we are respectful of one another. Next, we have proclamations and presentations, and We have Counselor Jones. Counselor Jones.
Was I paying attention? We're doing a proclamation? Thank you. We are doing a proclamation. If the members of the 100 Club would come on down, please. This is a proclamation recognizing the 100 Club of New Mexico. They are here to accept the proclamation this evening, and the members, some of the members are here, and they are James Hunter, President, Dave Cooley, former President, Malin Love, Gordon Eden, Chris Padilla, Hart Gunther, Calvin Heyer Jr., David Kalon, James Jones, Greg Mercantile, Alan Ludi, Jay Swander, Brad Tepper, and Marty Mayo. And now I'm going to tell you all a little bit about the 100, what the 100 Club is in this proclamation. Whereas there exists an ongoing, compelling need for citizen support of police and firefighters. And whereas a small group of Albuquerque citizens had the foresight to band together and form the New Mexico 100 Club in 1969. And whereas the New Mexico 100 Club's dedicated mission is to provide immediate financial assistance to the families of New Mexico police officers and firefighters killed in the line of duty. And whereas the New Mexico 100 Club made its first distribution in 1971 to the family of fallen New Mexico State Police Officer Robert Rosenblum. And whereas since 1971, the New Mexico 100 Club has provided over $535,000 to the families of 71 New Mexico police officers and firefighters killed in the line of duty. And whereas over 350 statewide members proudly and diligently support the New Mexico 100 Club. And whereas the year 2019 marks the 50th anniversary of the founding of the New Mexico 100 Club and 50 years of caring. Be it proclaimed that the council, the governing body of the city of Albuquerque, hereby recognizes the dedication of the 100 Club over the past 50 years for their support of families of fallen firemen and police officers. Thank you, gentlemen. And I believe our president, someone is going to come up and speak for just a second about the 100 Club. And then we will ask you all to come forward and accept the proclamation.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. The original founding members here in New Mexico were 4 businessmen. One of the original members is still with us. Some of you may know him, Jack Mulcahy. He's been forever. Malin Love was a little slow. He didn't start until 6 months after they started. But he's been there every time something happens. As you know, Malin probably knows everybody in the state and their home phone number. But we care, and I will give you a pamphlet when we come back to talk a little bit. But we are a nonprofit. We give them a check for a certain amount of cash, and they can do whatever they want with it in that immediate 48-hour period when all sorts of things come up. So thank you very much, Council.
Thank you, gentlemen. Please come on up. And it is not limited to men only. Women are allowed to join this club.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you.
Malin.
It's an election year, can you really say that?
Counselor Winter.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. And I tell you, in my 20 years, I've done a lot of proclamations, but this is one that I'm very proud of. And so this is a proclamation recognizing the 2019 Senior Games. So here to accept the proclamation this evening is Ana Sanchez, Director, Senior Affairs, Sherman McCorkle, Chair of the Local Organizing Committee, Cece Acosta, New Mexico Senior Olympics, Lori Roach with P&M, and Tanya Minta with Visit Albuquerque. So everybody, please come up. And we do also have a little conclusion video that is, I think, pretty cool to see. So I'll read the proclamation at this time. Whereas the city of Albuquerque was host to the 2019 National Senior Games presented by Humana that took place June 14th through June 25th, and whereas the National Senior Games Association is a nonprofit multi-sport council member of the United States Olympic Committee that promotes health and wellness for adults 50 and over through education, fitness, and sport. NSGA governs the National Senior Games, the largest multi-sport championship event in the world for seniors. And whereas there were 13,712 registered athletes from all 50 states and some countries represented in the 2019 National Senior Games, which shattered all previous records for participation over the 32-year history of the Games. The previous record for registered athletes for the National Senior Games was 12,000. Make sure that. Whereas 1,516 New Mexican athletes participated in the event, making New Mexico the largest state represented. Plus, New Mexico athletes led the overall medal count in the 20 sports with a total of 689 medals, 228 gold medals, 261 silver medals, and 200 bronze medals. And whereas the city of Albuquerque welcomed approximately 25,000 visitors, and Smith's Travel Research reported an Albuquerque occupancy rate of 81.9% in June 2019, generating an estimated direct spend of $17 million and a $34 million economic impact for the local economy. And whereas every city department played a role in the success of the Games, with nearly 5,000 volunteers, we showcased our city's culture, pride, and hospitality. And whereas we wouldn't have been successful hosts without the support from the community and businesses that stepped up to either donate money or volunteer their time, and whereas this was years in the making, and we acknowledge the work of the past administration to secure Albuquerque as first-time host to the National Senior Games, and thank the current administration for their huge leadership and commitment of hosting this record-breaking event. So be it proclaimed that the Council, the governing body of the City of Albuquerque, hereby recognizes all those who helped to ensure the 2019 National Senior Games was a successful event for all the athletes, the visitors, the state of New Mexico, and the city of Albuquerque. So I just want to say, and I think I can speak for the council, that I'm just very proud to have been part of this event. So thank you all very much.
We're just going to show a quick highlight video.
In 1985, 7 really dedicated St. Louisans sat together, wondered about starting National Senior Olympic. Almost 14,000 competitors. This is the largest qualifying athletic event in recorded history. There was a lot more life in seniors than just collecting Social Security checks.
If I may, Madam President, members of the council, Sherman McCorkle would like to present Tanya Armenta and Cici Acosta with a token of our appreciation for the strong partnership. We also have many core members of the team. If they'll please stand and be recognized for all the hard work that went into the months of planning and making sure Albuquerque brought the gold. We set our standards very high for Fort Lauderdale in 2021, but just want to thank everyone here, our community members, City Council, and the administration for making this a momentous occasion for our community. I think it's something that we could all take pride in, so thank you so much for your support and for everybody here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Come up and we'll hand out the proclamations.
Thank you. Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. I believe that both you and I are going to read this proclamation. And the next proclamation, we are going to call Abraham Pettis up and his entire family. I had an opportunity to meet his family, his brother and his sister, and also Bunny. Would you please come up? And I believe that Abraham will be a future Olympian and hopefully a gold medalist because his accomplishments in his short life have been incredible. But let me go and start reading the proclamation, and welcome. It reads, whereas Abraham Pettis began boxing in 2004 at the young age of 4, and his self-determination, personal code of ethics, hard work, and the support of his family have allowed him to accomplish many professional and personal goals. And whereas Abraham Pettis was a national Golden Gloves champion, flyweight 114 pounds, in 2019, and is a member of the USA Boxing Elite Men's High Performance Squad and was ranked second in the nation at flyweight 114 pounds per USA Boxing and was the 2018 Elite National Champion. And whereas Abraham enjoys giving back to the community and has been active in volunteering with the Blue Cross Blue Shield for the back-to-school drives, he takes time during the holiday season to find gifts wraps them and then gives them to needy families, and also mentors 3rd and 4th graders at George I. Sanchez Collaborative Community Schools. And
whereas since 1928, New Mexico's involvement with Golden Gloves of America has produced 7 other national champions, with one of the most recognized champions being the late Johnny Tapia, who received this honor in 1983 and 1985. And whereas Abraham Perez, 3-time Golden Glove state and regional champion, won the Golden Gloves 114-pound national title in May to become the 8th national Golden Gloves champion from New Mexico. And whereas Abraham has qualified for the 2020 U.S. Boxing Olympic Trials, be it proclaimed that the council, the governing body of the city of Albuquerque, hereby congratulates Abraham Perez for all of his success in representing New Mexico in boxing and supports him in his future boxing. Congratulations.
would you like to say a few words?
I'd like to thank you guys for this proclamation. It means a lot to me. And I'll continue to make you guys proud. I'll continue to make New Mexico proud as well. And I'd also like to thank my coach, who's my father and who's also my manager, for putting up with me. So I appreciate everyone who's supported me up to now, and so on. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I truly believe that you will be a future Olympic champion. I mean, I've met your family, and it just seems like there's a lot of love in that family and hard work, and everybody is committed to making you a champion. Those things don't happen by themselves. Your mom, your dad, your brother and sister, and your coaches. And I want to personally thank Buddy Martinez, who was a Parks and Recs director for Bernalillo County, and now is working with the boxing community. Bunny has just given so much back to our community. I want to thank her, and I think she would like to make a couple of comments.
Thank you, Councilman Sanchez, and all of you. We really appreciate everything you do for us, and we really want to say thank you to Abraham for representing us so well. Amateur boxing is a wonderful sport, and as the president of New Mexico Golden Gloves, we want to support all of our youth as they grow. Again, Abraham, you're the best. Thank you so much. In 91 years, he's only our 8th, so it's an amazing thing that he's accomplished. And as a state, we came in 3rd in the Nationals. So Abraham was a big part of that. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you.
Buddy, thank you. We'd like you to come on up and receive the proclamation. And I would also like to recognize Jimmy Baca, who I grew up with and used to coach many, many years ago. Oh, you guys go. He's not an Olympic champion. That's what it was. Abraham. Appreciate it. Here you go. Don't forget the most important thing. Here's your proclamation. Appreciate your hard work. Thank you.
We need to build another community center. It looks like we're going to have to name it after Mr. Abraham. So next we have Councilor Borrego, and you have 3 proclamations. You can take them in the order that you would like.
Thank you, Madam President. The first proclamation that I have this evening is for the UNM Children's Hospital in conjunction with the Credit Union Association. I believe tonight we have Paul Stull here from the New Mexico Credit Union Association. And Paul, would you bring your group with you, please? He's the executive director. And identify everyone. Mike, come on down. Paul, would you like to identify your group? Come to the mic over here. And Mike?
I'm very pleased to have with me the president of the UNM Hospital, Kate Becker. And Kate, would you like to introduce your staff? And I'll add one person before I do that, but I also have Mike Athens with us, who is the CEO of Rio Grande Credit Union. And Mike is a member of the Credit Union Association of New Mexico and part of our efforts at UNM Children's Hospital. Kate, I'm sorry to do that to you, but please go right ahead.
Good evening, I'm Kate Becker, and I'm the president of UNM Hospitals, including UNM Children's Hospital. And actually, I'm going to introduce Andy Wright Brown, who is our foundation person who was really instrumental in getting this gift. Andy, would you like to come up?
Thank you. And from the Children's Hospital as well, we have our executive director, Mary Beth Thornton. We have our principal and superintendent for our school district, Jeremy Abshire. We have our connected New Mexico Credit Union's Connected Academy teacher, Monica Roach. And then with the Children's Hospital, we have Carla Anaya and Lauren Oberlin.
Thank you all for being here this evening. With that, I am going to read this proclamation. Whereas UNM Children's Hospital, UNMCH, is the only Level 1 trauma hospital in New Mexico providing specialized and traumatic care to a diverse population through family-centered care, and whereas UNMCH cares for more than 66,000 patients from every county in New Mexico, as well as parts of Colorado, Texas, and Arizona, which results in more than 207,000 pediatric encounters annually. And whereas UNM Hospital is the only safety net hospital in the state, providing more than $135 million in uncompensated care and never turns anyone away, regardless of their ability to pay. And whereas for more than 60 years, the Credit Union Association of New Mexico, or CUNM, has been an integral partner to the people and communities of New Mexico, providing vital funding during the last 20 years for UNMCH through Children's Miracle Network, credit unions for kids, and whereas credit unions across New Mexico raised more than $1.1 million, including support for the creation of the only pediatric emergency room in New Mexico at UNMCH in 2007. And whereas in 2019, CUNM has once again stepped up and committed to filling a void at UNMCH by committing $800,000 to create and support the Credit Union's Connected Academy at UNMCH, thereby connecting chronically ill and long-term care children back to their schools and educations. And whereas this program also supports siblings and parents and includes a financial education component. Whereas the new Credit Union's Connected Academy at UNMCH allows our school-age patients to express themselves, feel a sense of discovery, belonging, and normalcy, and provides them with hope, contributing to their recovery. Be it proclaimed that the Council, the governing body of the City of Albuquerque, recognizes and commends the unwavering dedication of the Credit Union Association of New Mexico, the University of New Mexico Hospital, and the Hospital Children's Ward for their holistic consideration of the minds, physical, and financial health of the people and children of the City of Albuquerque and New Mexico. And I would like to present this to the Children's Hospital and also to the Credit Unions Association. But before that, I'd like for you to say a few words. Mr.
I would just like to say how much we at the Children's Hospital appreciate this gift from the credit unions. This enables children who are with us for extended periods of time to keep up with their schoolwork and their studies, and it takes one more worry from the parents who are concerned about whether their children are falling behind, whether they have to reach out to their home schools. So we really appreciate this gift. It's going to make a difference for a lot of children.
Paul Stoll, would you like to say a few words?
Well, just to echo Kate's words, the credit unions in New Mexico have long had a partnership to help sick children. But when the opportunity came to create a school at Children's Hospital, it seemed like too good of an opportunity to pass up. So many children being hospitalized with chronic illness, where they are in the hospital more days of the year than they're out. Many times they're disenrolled from school in the state of New Mexico. But fortunately, now we have a teacher and a dedicated school at the hospital that allows children to stay enrolled, to continue with their education. And whether or not they are able to advance, that's not the point. The point is to give them hope, hope that they will recover, get back to normal, rejoin their friends at school, and have a hope for a better future. And that's why credit unions are deeply involved with the great staff at UNM Children's Hospital. Thanks very much.
And Madam President, I would just like to thank you all for the work that you're doing for our children. It's very important work, and would you like to come up and receive this? And we'll get you another copy. Thank you. Okay, Counselor. Next one.
You still have the floor,
is the
Counselor.
board. Okay, thank you, Counselor. So the next proclamation is an anti-bullying proclamation. And I don't know if anyone is here from APS. There is someone here from APS. Would you identify yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Layla D. Heyman. I am the Director of School Climate for Albuquerque Public Schools.
Thank you for being here this evening. With that, I will read this. Whereas bullying is unwanted and aggressive behavior among school children involving a power imbalance, and the behavior is repeated or has the potential to be repeated over time. And whereas in 1990, United States researchers began studying bullying when only a few anti-bullying laws and policies existed. And as a result, today, every state and most U.S. commonwealths and territories pass laws or policies on bullying prevention. And according to the U.S. Department of Education's National Center for Education Statistics report, since 2005, when data began to be recorded, bullying has dropped every year, and in 2013, the prevalence of bullying among students ages 12 to 18 fell to 22%. And whereas the superintendent of Albuquerque Public Schools implements measures generating safe, respectful, and fear-free school environments, thereby allowing students to learn without the stress of emotional and physical abuse from peers and ensuring the highest level of learning can be achieved. And whereas Albuquerque Public Schools requires all licensed school employers, instructional and operational administrative personnel to participate in mandatory bullying prevention training provided by the school district at least once every 3 years. And whereas Albuquerque Public Schools health and education courses include instructions on bullying prevention, complying with the New Mexico Public Education Department's consent standards with benchmarks and performance benchmarks for health education. And whereas in 2013, the New Mexico Public Education Department required every school district to implement a bullying and cyberbullying prevention program. And whereas Albuquerque Public Schools is committed to fostering safe, respectful, and fear-free environment for all members of the school community, be it proclaimed that the council, the governing body of the city of Albuquerque, supports anti-bullying behavior in our schools and in our communities and encourages Albuquerque's citizenry to be respectful of each other regardless of race, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. Would you like to say a few words?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And on behalf of Albuquerque Public Schools, I want to thank everyone for allowing me to be here this evening. So under my department, under school climate, I oversee restorative practices, social emotional learning, bullying prevention, and suicide prevention. I also oversee every behavior redirector in the district, so we have one in every elementary school. And so with the new school year starting, we are implementing trainings this week, and so this timing is perfect for this proclamation. And so thank you.
Thank you. Any counselors like to say anything? Would you like to come forward and receive it?
Counselor Davis.
I don't believe I
I'm
have
sorry.
one,
I
Madam.
apologize. Counselor Borrego has one more.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor. And actually, you're going to be starting this for us.
Whereas the city of Albuquerque stands in solidarity with our neighbors in El Paso, Texas, and our friends in Dayton, Ohio, in denouncing hate and violence in any form. And whereas the United States of America is built on values ensuring that all people are created equal and should be respected. And
Whereas the fabric of America is woven to ensure its citizens, regardless of race, gender, religion, sexual orientation, and culture, should be granted rights to live harmoniously in peace and security. And whereas the city of Albuquerque practices compassion towards issues of immigration and supports for those who seek asylum, and will not tolerate acts of racism and violence towards any individual.
And whereas the Albuquerque Peace and Justice Center and the City of Albuquerque rallies our communities through civic engagement and educational campaigns protecting the right to organize against hate. Be it proclaimed that the City Council, the governing body of the City of Albuquerque, condemns hate and violence in any form and at every level in our society. And tonight we have with us Sammy Assad from the Albuquerque Peace and Justice Center. And would you like to come forward, Sammy, please? Thank you. And introduce your guest.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for honoring the Peace Center at a very timely moment. I will let my fellow board member speak after me. I just want to say one thing to what you have to say. My son, as I left home coming here, told me, "Mom, do you realize we had more shootings than days in 2019?" I leave you with that somber moment and the responsibility that is on our shoulders as leaders, as faith community, as activists, as organizers, as fathers and mothers, to uphold what this city stands for, an immigrant-friendly city. We stand against hatred and racism, like you say, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
My name is Amelia Paradise. I'm on the board at Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice. I'm the treasurer. I'm honored to be here with Samia, accepting this proclamation for the center. It is our work to be a space where folks can come together in the peace and justice movement and convene and share ideas and build our collective voice to take action. And we are honored to be in partnership with the city of Albuquerque doing that. And I appreciate the recognition, and thank you so much.
Thank you for the work that you all do. Thank you. Would you like to come forward?
Now we have a presentation. Counselor Davis.
Madam President, is this the APD one as you were looking for? Is that right? Thank you, ma'am. Madam President, it couldn't be more timely, perhaps for that reason, that we talk a little bit about the city's strategies for gun violence prevention. And those of us who sit through these meetings and do budget hearings know an awful lot about the money and the opportunity or the money and the programs that we've been funding and working on at the local level to address gun violence prevention, gun investigations, and to help our law enforcement. But when the new administration came in, they really started asking about ways we could engage the community in our gun violence strategies. And one of those that came up actually came as a recommendation from APD officers working in Southeast Albuquerque as a way to engage the city in gun violence prevention, in part because we see data like more than 1,000 firearms stolen from vehicles over the course of about 16 or 18 months in the last couple of years, all of those ending up on the streets of Albuquerque. And so our police officers started looking at strategies, and one of those was our gun buyback program that was completed last month. And before we knew about the incidents that happened in the last week or so, we asked APD Lieutenant Anaya and I think Lieutenant Tafoya, who was an organizer, to come and tell us a little bit about how that came together, sort of the successes from that, and what our future plans are regarding that. So at the President's pleasure, I'd like to invite Lieutenant Anaya to come join us and tell us about that program.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate the time. So several months ago, back in February, I was summoned up to the 5th floor where Chief Geyer works. And I was told, hey, Lieutenant Anaya, guess what? You are going to have to come up with some strategies to help us combat gun violence and violent crimes in the Southeast Area Command. There was a whole bunch of help, and I didn't do it all by myself by any means. But as I was going through this and trying to figure out the best way to combat gun violence, I thought to myself, and then Lieutenant Tafoya came to my office one day and said, "Hey, how about we do a gun buyback program?" I said, "I was just thinking about that, but I need some assistance. You want to help me out?" So, long story short, we started turning over stones and trying to figure out how we're going to do this, and realized that there's a lot of red tape that goes along with it. But through our process, the DA's office, we went and talked to the DA's office. We met with Councilman Davis and the administration, APD administration, and they all agreed to support us 100% and thought it was going to be a great idea. So through that, we were able to get fundings. We reached out to businesses throughout the local area. We got money from different organizations. Pawn Shop organization was one of them that provided us with money. Also, Councilman Davis provided us with a lot of money that we needed to make it successful. We went out to the media and pushed it heavily out in the media to see what people were going to come or not come. We had no idea what to expect. It hadn't been done in many, many years, so we had nothing to go off of. So real quick, I'll talk about some highlights I think that are important of it. So we did the gun buyback program. It was July 13th, and what we ended up getting was over 400 guns that were surrendered to us. I think it was 415 to be exact. 5 of those which were stolen weapons. And out of those 415, 21 guns were just surrendered with no payment. People came up and said, I love the idea. I think what you guys are doing is fabulous. Take my weapons, and I don't want any cash for it. And just to give you some feedback on that is Santa Fe, I'm not sure if it was county or PD, did a gun buyback, I think it was a week prior to ours. And they only recovered or only surrendered 38 guns total. So ours was very, very successful. I had sunburns all over my body to contest to that. I didn't think I'd be standing in the sun for 7 hours, but lesson learned. So anyway, so we had through that process was about almost $30,000 was used. It was about $29,800. We had $200 left. So we're very thankful for Councilman Davis's donation of the $30,000 that he provided to us. Also on there was an overwhelming success, not just locally, but it was statewide. I was very shocked and surprised to find that. So what I did as people approached, I asked 2 questions. I asked, where are you coming from, and how'd you hear about us? I had people from Grants that came to specifically for the gun buyback. Santa Fe, Los Lunas, Rio Rancho, Las Cruces, Corrales. There was people from all over, and they said, yeah, I heard about it either on the news or in the paper, and they were ecstatic that they could come up here and do this. So we contacted about 220 people from the surrounding areas, and the majority of them gave me this feedback as to why they wanted to participate in this volunteer gun buyback program. The first answer was they had no use for the weapons at all. They didn't want them around. A lot of them were, and I heard this over and over, we have grandkids now, and we don't want any firearms in our house. Weapons were passed down through generation, and they just didn't feel safe having the weapon inside their house. And the other one, which I thought was fantastic because it was kind of the idea behind the whole process, was that they had weapons in their house, and they weren't sure, even if they had them locked up in a safe or not. They felt it would be better to bring the guns to get destroyed than to be somebody break into their house and it be used against the citizens of the Albuquerque in Albuquerque. So I thought that was great because that was kind of the idea of the whole process. So on that, many requests were then, we put out, like I said, we put out information through the TV and through the newspaper, and that's how a lot of people advised that they found out about it. I think the best part of this was the gratitude and the many thank yous that we got from the public. It was overwhelming. Almost every single person that went through that either thanked us for it and wanted to tell us that it was a great idea. Also, one big request though was, when is the next gun buyback program? And I said, well, I didn't even think this one's gonna be like this. I have no idea. Give me a second to breathe. But I want to make this quick statement. All in all, this is a very successful event with the public's help in making the great city of Albuquerque safer and helping to improve the quality of life through community-oriented policing. Really, this program was about reaching out to the community and asking members of the community to come over and help us, help them, and help each other make Albuquerque safer and a better place to live. And there was many people that helped us. Like I said, the 5th floor, the chief's office was very helpful in supporting this and getting it off the ground. With that, if there's any questions or anybody has anything.
Councilor Benton.
Thanks. Well, it sounds like you'd like to do it again.
Well, yeah, I mean,
not every week.
I can help somebody.
Probably not every week. But just quickly, as I understand it, Councilor Davis used his capital set aside, and the way that works is you're going to make an artwork out of it, so it becomes a capital asset of the city that'll be really interesting. I don't know how many more of those kind of sculptures we want to do around town. It may not speak too well, but I'd happily, of our public outreach money that we each have, any councilors who would want to pool some of that with me, I would love to help sponsor a future one. So.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and just kind of ideas that I've had for moving forward. I think it's important for the community and the police department to do these kind of things in together. So my idea would be, hey, if we want to do another one, $30,000, if you guys put up 15 and then get the community, there's organizations, there's lots of business people here that can donate money to us, and we do it together, so it shows some unity within the city.
Councilor Borrego, followed by Councilor Gibson, and then Councilor Sanchez.
Yes, Officer, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you.
So for the $30,000, what type of guns were you able to buy back?
So I don't remember it off the top of my head, but there was a lot of firearm or handguns and rifles that took up the majority of it.
So we still have issues with assault weapons, I think.
Yeah, there was
that are
a few
illegal.
assault rifles, but not as many as we'd hoped. Yes, ma'am.
And that was no questions asked, right?
Yes.
Pretty much. Do you remember the number of how many guns were purchased?
Yeah, 415.
415 total. Well, I may be your next client. Yesterday, I had somebody on Facebook ask me when I was going to do a buyback in my district. So I'd be interested in speaking with you a little bit
Yes, ma'am.
more.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I want to put the art piece in Counselor Davis's district, but we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Logistics.
So if you'd contact my office, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'm also very interested in that. My district's in the near Northeast Heights. Excuse me. So, maybe we can do one there, or do two, or do one somewhere in between. Any of those ideas, I certainly would like to support this.
Yes, ma'am. I think it might be a good idea just to, we focused in Southeast because that's where I was currently employed in. But as the bid comes, I'm moving, happen to be in your neck of the woods, so we can work something out.
Thank you.
Counselor Sanchez, then Counselor
Lieutenant,
Winter.
it looks like you're buying yourself some job security. I think you've done a really good job in this buyback program.
Let me check with my wife and see what she...
And thank you to Counselor Davis. And we will probably the next time buy you some sunscreen when you're out there for 7 hours.
It, yeah, rookie mistake, I guess, right?
Counselor Winter.
Thank you, Madam President. Officer, did any of those guns come up stolen that were turned in?
Yes, sir. I believe it was 5 that came up stolen. And we tracked every weapon that came through. All serial numbers were tracked through several different databases, and we're still waiting on information on it. And so let me just touch on that real quick. I know you guys have a busy schedule, but one of the concerns when we first brought this issue up was, well, hey, we don't want to bring guns in we're going to destroy that may have been used in a horrific crime, because we want closure. As a police department and as a city, in case any of those weapons have ever been used in a violent crime. So we met with our investigation divisions, the crime lab, and different individuals who assured us that by actually bringing these guns in, no questions asked, and just obtaining the weapon itself would help us immensely move forward on possibly solving crimes like that.
Thank you. Counselor Davis, did you want to?
Thank you, and I just want to close, and I know we have a busy schedule. And Lieutenant, I really do appreciate you coming to do this presentation. It would be great. I know we've talked about this, and we'll put those stats up available online. We'll work together to get that done. But I just want to acknowledge, we saved the council from another proclamation tonight to ask all those folks to come down that helped. But we sent letters of commendation through the chief's office to all 20-something officers, staff, and volunteers who worked on this project. And I want to say, community policing is all about community policing. And if you go to CPC councils, you hear good ideas, and you hear lots of good ideas, some good and bad, from those of us who sit up here and think we know what we're doing. But it really was a really amazing effort to see officers who work in the field every day dealing with the impacts of gun violence and having to take the reports of stolen guns from houses and cars and others, come up with a strategy that they thought would work, and to partner with the community to engage them in something that I think is frustrating a lot of us. And so I just want to offer my personal commendation and say thank you to you, Lieutenant Tafoya, and particularly to the administration for helping us think about ways to engage the community outside the box and supporting our officers and our community in that. And I think we now know how to do this a little bit, and there's lots of different ways to pay for it, but clearly it's something we should do more of, and I think it's something that we can all benefit from. So thanks to the other counselors for willing to step up, and thank your folks for doing that.
Thank you. And I'd just like to close with this if I can. So out of those 415 weapons that we took in and that will be destroyed, I think that if one life is saved, then it's well worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a presentation from Mr. Ed Harness regarding the CPOA second quarter report.
Good evening, Madam President and Honorable Council. This is the quarterly report covering the period of April 2019 through June of 2019. During that time, there were 35 administratively closed cases. We had one case with multiple sustained violations with a recommendation of termination of the officer and the supervisor. Chief Guyer did not concur with our recommendation of discipline in that one. We had one case not sustained, 3 exonerated cases, and 2 unfounded. Policy reviews by the CPOA board were 1-80 prisoner transport unit, 1-88 sex crimes unit. There was a recommendation to Chief Guyer to review all aspects of APD overtime policies. There was a recommendation to write a new memorandum of understanding for the pawnbrokers. There was a recommendation for the expansion of the retention for time limits for on-body recording videos that are not tagged for evidence. The current policy is for 120 days, and the board recommended retention for 1 year. And then there was a recommendation for records, 2-6, for tracking of citations. Currently, there's not a system in place to track the citations from the command station over to the Metro Court, and so we have no idea who to blame, to say, without a better way to put it, who to blame if a citation disappears. We don't know if it got to Metro Court and it's Metro Court's problem, or if it's an APD problem. So we recommended a tracking system until they can get the computer systems to talk to each other, so that when a citation is issued electronically, it will automatically go right over to the Metro Court. As far as outreach, numerous attendance for Community Policing Council meetings, a presentation to APD's 22nd lateral class, and we have replaced all of the outreach materials at all 55 community centers with the new brochure. And with that, I stand for questions.
Are there any questions from this council? Councilor Davis.
Mr. Harness, very briefly, we've heard some conversation from other law enforcement agencies locally and around the state about looking at their own police oversight sort of strategies. And one of the questions that continues to come up is whether or not body-mounted cameras or officer cameras have been useful in terms of exonerating or fast-tracking or cleaning up complaints against officers and maybe avoiding large settlements and other things. I see in your report that just in this quarter, there's 3 officers exonerated, 35 administratively closed. I know there are a lot of factors in all of those, and we can get into it. But does CPOA track, or in your experience, can you tell us a little bit about how many of those are cleared or exonerated based on video evidence that may not support the initial allegation?
Madam President, Councilor Davis, I can tell you that when the CPOA gained access to the video library for APD, that was a significant increase in the reason why our administratively closed cases are at nearly 80% now. I think I mean, I don't have the hard and fast numbers. We could run the numbers for you, but I think that it's easily a 90-10 proposition where the video clears or exonerates the officer's behavior.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is in regards to Policy 2, review of CPOA, and the recommendation, Chief Guyer's review all aspects of APD's overtime policies. What is your rationale for wanting to review all aspects of APD overtime, when that really should be up to the department to assure that they're doing their job with overtime?
Madam President, Councilor Sanchez, that was a result of an investigation that was conducted by the agency, and we found many issues with overtime policies within APD, and the chief acknowledges those problems, and they were a part of the budget process for fiscal year 2018, and he highlighted some of those, and he will be briefing the board on Thursday with what some of the research that they've done and some of the concerns and how they're going to be addressing those moving forward.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councilor Benton.
Just quickly, Mr. Harness, describe you know, kind of what the discussions were around the pawnbroker discussion.
Madam President, Councilor Benton, one of the larger issues is pawn shops feel as though sometimes the police department is used as a collection agency for items that have been leased or rented, rent to own. And I believe that the pawn brokers, the pawn shop owners would prefer that that be a civil action and a replevin be filed with local court so that they can be compensated for that loss when it's not an outright theft. That was one of the bigger issues that came up in this investigation that we did. Plus I believe the current MOU is from 1998. So I think it certainly deserves being reexamined.
Madam President.
Councilor Benton.
Just quickly, did the board have discussions about how effective this is in terms of use of police officers' time as opposed to other types of calls?
Madam President, Councilor Benton, no, they did not examine the issue of efficiency for police department and the advocacy of utilizing police for services for the pawnbrokers for those types of disputes, no.
Seems like something perhaps worthy of additional discussion. I mean, I understand that there's been, and Councilor Gibson, of course, done a lot of work on this issue as well, but given we're still trying to build up the numbers in the department, you know, are there other players within the department, such as police service aides and such, that could do some of that kind of work? Just curious. Thank you.
Councilor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Harness, so these are, you said they were rent-to-own, things like furniture and stuff like that, but furniture doesn't usually show up in pawn shops. What kind of items are we talking about?
Madam President, Councilor Gibson, usually it's appliances, TVs, large-scale mixers, small home appliances, those kinds of things.
Bicycles, scooters, motorcycles, mechanical type things?
Madam President, Councilor Gibson, not so much in the rent-to-own area as far as problems that the pawnbrokers were having. The rent-to-owns are typically furnitures, home appliances, those kinds of things.
Okay. So I'd be really interested in seeing that MOU. If my assistant contacted your office, could we take a look at it?
Council President and Councilor Gibson, certainly.
Thank you.
I'll try to look up the specific case that this was a recommendation for, and that MOU is in that file.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Councilor Borrego.
Yes, you identified under policy review, number F, recommendation 2 to 6 records, tracking citations, and you mentioned there's a computer problem of computers talking to each other. Is this something that is with regard to like a software that would need to be purchased between the two agencies, or what? I mean, to whom would you be recommending? I'm just curious about how that issue would be solved.
Councilor President and Vice President Borrego, the solution that we offered is simply a manual tracking and a log for citations as they're dropped off at the command station, that they be logged in there, and then they're logged out when they're taken over to the court system. My understanding is that the department has been working for a couple of years to try to get these systems to talk to each other, and I don't know what that solution is.
Okay. So that's still something that needs to be looked into, I guess, from an IT, possibly an IT solution. Okay, thank you.
No questions, so thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, we have a presentation from Christine Berner regarding the city's latest GRT.
Good evening, hello. I hope you have the handout, or not yet? Okay. So if I could have you look at the first page of the GRT handout. So this is sort of the, most of the FY19, what we're looking at. The July distribution, if you look at the bottom of the small blue box on the upper right-hand side, you'll see that the change, the change from this month to the same time last month is a negative 16.9%, with the cumulative growth at 0.8% compared to the about 2.6% we'd been seeing. And so I think some of you, this was emailed to you, you had a little bit of a heads up, but let me remind you what has happened, what's behind these numbers. So this time last year, we received a one-time hold harmless distribution. It was sort of a lump sum that we weren't expecting, and it was rather large. And just by coincidence, the July distribution, and we've learned the June distribution of this year, we're actually short on hold harmless distribution. And so when you compare this year to last year, you get these numbers, right? And so the lower left, when you look at the line item, the food hold harmless, you'll see the cumulative for FY19 is negative 43%. And the month-over-month change, almost a negative 80%, all right? And I'm going to talk to you about what we're doing about that issue in just a moment. If I could bring your attention to the last line on the lower left. The total growth for FY19 at this point was 1.9% without hold harmless, okay? So it's premature to report on the final GRT growth for FY19, but we're still expecting it to be at or a bit above that 2.2 that was projected for 19. Regarding, what's going on with that hold harmless, we brought this to TRD's Taxation and Revenue Department's attention. And to their credit, they responded very quickly and told us that they'd realized there was a large grocer that failed to accurately report their gross receipts for food. A situation like a change in accountants. There was just, it was just an error. And TRD's keeping us informed, but they're working with this grocer, they're getting it worked out, and they're keeping us up to date, just so you're aware of that. And additionally, kudos to TRD. They've really improved their customer service for municipalities, and they made another report available to us just recently, and we've identified another 7 grocers that are out of compliance, and those were sent to the Audit and Compliance Department of TRD, so they're keeping us up to date with the changes there, so it's actually positive news. So that's the update on GRT. If I could have you just look briefly at the employment report, should be the next page. So in June, Albuquerque MSA added another 4,900 jobs, and that represents a year-over-year gain of about 1.2%. And we've got the Albuquerque unemployment. It's sitting at about 5.3, just a tad over what it was in May, with the U.S. actually sitting about 3.7%. And then on the final page, you can just see the jobs by sector that are contributing, that contributed to the growth in FY19. Most notably, private service, professional and business services, education, and of course, leisure and hospitality. So that's a quick brief. I'll stand for questions.
Are there any questions? Councillor Jones.
Actually, Madam President, I don't have a question. I just have a statement that I find very interesting, and that is that the body that is supposed to be keeping track of the GRT and keeping everything running smoothly and making sure that we do everything correctly can't seem to get the GRT correct. Does that kind of seem strange to you?
President and council members, this is an instance of an entity making a mistake in their filing, and I mean, it came to TRD's attention pretty quickly.
But it came to their attention after we took it to their attention, is that correct?
I might have enjoyed having them notify us, but they may have known about it before we brought it to their attention, but they were fast in responding once we did.
You're very noble to try to protect them, but they screwed up. Thank you.
Councillor Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. I am very concerned with the Taxation and Revenue Department. I know Councillor Benton over 2 years ago had made a request, and I've also had worked with the state auditor's office when Mayor Keller was auditor regarding the numbers and the methodology that was being utilized to give us the GRT. And I think there's been some problems, not just now. This goes back several years, and I'm not sure if an audit has ever been done on tax and revenue and if they are providing the correct methodology. But I do have some real serious concerns because this has gone on just way too long.
Council President Pena, Councilor Sanchez, as you may recall, we tried to do that when we sat in the auditor's office, and then when we came here, continued to try to get that information, ultimately sued the Department of Taxation and Revenue. That lawsuit is still pending. They moved to disqualify our legal counsel. I believe that was unsuccessful, so we're now finally able to move forward with that suit. And although the new administration has been much better to work with, we still have not resolved those many unanswered questions from the years that you're talking about.
Well, that's good news. Do we have a time frame or when this case will be heard in court? Or will it go to court, or will it be mitigated out of court?
Madam President, Councilor Sanchez, right now we are currently in the litigation process. The case has not been scheduled for trial, but our counsel is moving forward as quickly as possible. We do anticipate that there will be additional jurisdictions who will be joining the suit in the coming weeks. So I anticipate that will get some movement from the Taxation and Revenue Department as well. I'll continue to keep you posted.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have item 4, economic development discussion. There is none. Next item is item 5, administration question and answer period. Councilors, are there any questions for the administration? Councilor Benton, followed by Councilor Borrego, followed by Councilor Sanchez.
Not a question, but I just want to thank the administration for the Summerfest downtown, which I think Councilor Sanchez and I always were fighting to bring it back downtown. And you know, it was a rainy night, but it turned out to be a beautiful night, and it was a big crowd, and people really seemed to have a great time. So I just want to thank Mayor Keller and Michelle Sanchez, Director, and everybody who helped out with that, but it was a lot of fun.
Councilor Borrego.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted two things. One is I wanted to mention that our West Side Summerfest is coming up on August the 17th, and that will be at Ventana Ranch Park, which is a different venue for us this year. And I hope it's successful. And I'd also like to find out if we have a report on the census. And I think I had asked one of the city attorneys to be here. Ms. Winters, are you here? Could you give us just a quick summary on what is happening with our census?
Good evening, Councilor Pena, President Pena, and council members. Yes, so we are moving forward pretty rapidly now that the United States Supreme Court has made a decision and that has been accepted by the federal government. So we are meeting.
And before you go on, that is the question with regard to?
Yes, the citizenship question.
Thank you.
Yes, so that has been decided, and we have each allocated, the city and the county have each allocated $100,000 into a joint fund, as well as the state has allocated money into Bernalillo County, which will cover us, which is almost $600,000. So the city and the county are meeting at least, I would say, once or twice a week, planning that, working on marketing. Also, we have monthly city-county complete count committee meetings, and those have been going well, and we have created subcommittees. The chair of each subcommittee then participates on the executive committee, and they will make the ultimate decisions on marketing, et cetera. But I can answer any particular questions if there are any, or if there's any further information that you need.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like the police chief, maybe at the next meeting, to give a presentation to the council and the members of the public to see what the department is doing on domestic terrorism. I think it's a serious problem across America, and we saw what happened this weekend in El Paso and Dayton. But I feel it's important that we do hear from the chief on tactical plans that are in place now for the citizens of Albuquerque.
Thank you. Councilor Davis.
Really briefly, just Mr. Real, if you could help me, I was reminded earlier this week in meeting with some of our city security officers that some of the administration's efforts to consolidate city security, transit security, and other operations, which I think gets directly to Councilor Sanchez's issue about us being better prepared and having our staff and employees better prepared, reminded me that we had some outstanding questions from budget about long-term plans for private contracting for some city facilities and new park plans, along with onboarding transit security into the security training program that was being developed with APD. Would it be possible for somebody to give us an update on that process as we're moving those along? I certainly want to support the administration's efforts to support our security officers, but they expressed some anxiety to us about some of the planning process, and I think it'd be great to update how we're doing that.
Madam President and Councilor Davis, we would obviously be willing to sit with you and any of the councilors and talk a little bit more in depth about what we're doing, but just as a practical matter, we have begun to restructure that program. The Department of Municipal Development will be responsible for all of the security programs and personnel that help us with all our facilities, et cetera. We have also partnered up with APD to provide our security folks more training on traffic management, traffic control, how to help use them in a more effective manner for all of our special events, and for just, quite frankly, patrolling areas where we know we have situations where we may have to call a police officer to help assist in any kind of a situation, but giving our security folks enough of the tools and the training to help at least manage the situation until a police officer arrives. So we think we're headed in a direction that will make them a lot more, I think, better trained and better capable of dealing with the situations. And our goal ultimately, obviously, is to create a second, if you will, level of security so that we can deploy them eventually into some of our parks and some of our other areas where we can use them. As we know, our police officers are sometimes dealing with higher priority calls, and we need to have presence in our community facilities so that our citizens feel safe. So that's the direction we're headed in, but be happy to provide you with more detailed information as we move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Ayala. Madam President, I think it's great that we're consolidating that and consolidating the training, especially as we've seen some of the assault reports from particularly from transit security officers as they're taking on more duties around transit. I think it's really important that we do that. I'm really glad the administration is taking that initiative, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is item 6, the journal. Councilor Borrego.
I move approval of the June 17th journal.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We are now on item 7, communications and introductions. Are there any changes to the letter of introduction? I move that the rules be suspended for the purpose of placing EC 437 on tonight's agenda for final action. EC 437 is a lease agreement between the City of Albuquerque and Salvia Corporation. All those in favor, we need 2/3 vote. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. I move that the rules be suspended for the purpose of placing OC 32 on tonight's agenda for final action. OC 32 is clerk certification of council candidates nominating position. We need 2/3 vote. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilor Winter.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the rules be suspended for the purpose of introducing O-71 and referring it to the Finance and Government Operations Committee. O-71 is amending Section 4-4-1 ROA 1994 of the Lodgers Tax Ordinance to include the definition of marketplace provider. It will eliminate an exemption and require marketplace providers to collect and remit occupancy taxes, and amending Section 481 ROA 1994 of the Hospitality Fee Ordinance to include the definition of marketplace provider, eliminate an exemption and require marketplace providers to collect and remit hospitality fees.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilor Benton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think you have one item on here. I've actually got two others, so I'm going to, if it's all right, I'm going to have to move three items here under communications and introductions. The first is R19-174, approving the major expansion of the old Albuquerque High Metropolitan Redevelopment Area and renaming the expanded area as the East Downtown Huning Highlands South Martineztown Metropolitan Redevelopment Area, making certain findings and conclusions pursuant to the Metropolitan Redevelopment Code. Madam President, I move to amend the letter of introduction to change this to a holdover.
So there's a motion and a second to amend this for a holdover. There's still required a 2/3? Okay. All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam President. And this is a similar related matter. This is a metropolitan redevelopment area that we've been working on for quite some time, and there's some projects that are pending that makes this very timely and important that we move forward. So also on R19-175, I move, that's approving the East Downtown Huning Highlands South Martineztown MRA plan. Also move that that be a holdover as an amendment to the letter of introduction.
There's a motion and a second for a holdover of, what was the number again?
R19-175.
R19-175. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes.
And Madam President, I'll now move the rules be suspended for the purpose of introducing R179 and placing it on the August 19th council agenda. R179 is calling upon the state of New Mexico to establish a process that provides for the issuance of court orders that would require the relinquishment of firearms for some period of time under circumstances of extreme risk.
There's a motion and a second for R179 for the next council meeting. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next, we have Councilor Borrego.
I move approval of the letter of introduction.
There's a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We are now on item 8, reports of committee. There are none. Deferrals and withdrawals. Councilors, are there any deferrals or withdrawals at this time? Councilor Davis.
Madam President, for everyone looking at the long agenda, will be happy to hear from me tonight. I make a motion to defer until August 19th, R79, which is a nuisance substandard dwelling at 113 Eubank Northeast.
There's a motion and a second for deferral. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Next up, I make a motion for deferral until August 19th for R152, a nuisance structure at 516 Kentucky Street Southeast.
There's a motion and a second for deferral. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilor Davis.
Next up, I make a motion to defer until August 19th, R153, a nuisance substandard dwelling at 247 Espanola Street Northeast.
There's a motion and a second for deferral. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilor Davis.
Make a motion to defer until August 19th, R155, a nuisance substandard dwelling in need of abatement at 600 Dallas Northeast.
There's a motion and a second for deferral. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilor Davis.
Finally, I make a motion to defer until August 19th, R156, a nuisance substandard dwelling in need of abatement at 8400 Chico Road Northeast.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We are now on item 9, consent agenda. Are there any changes to the consent agenda? For the individuals on tonight's consent agenda who are being appointed to serve on a board or commission, would you please stand if you are in the audience? And we all here on the council want to thank you for your willingness to serve. Some familiar faces. Councilor Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. Just Council Clerk, for the record, before we vote on the consent agenda, please have the record reflect my recusal on item I, which is EC 19423.
Thank you, Councilor Borrego.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
There's a motion, a second for approval of the consent agenda. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We are now on item 10, general public comments. There will be a 2-minute time limit. The light on the podium will be green for the first minute and a half, then the light will turn yellow and the bell will ring, indicating you have 30 seconds remaining to wrap up your comments. At 2 minutes, the light will turn red and ring to indicate your time is up. Our first speaker this evening is Carol Stoklas. I'm going to let you come up and say your name.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Karol Stoklas. I've been living here in Albuquerque since 1974. Four-season landscaping, heads up, and architect. I'm living right now in a dwelling called Aztec Village, and they just took a fences down around the patio, which not supposed to be called a fences, but it's supposed to be called a wall or barrier. Okay, so because they call it fences, that's why they took it unlegally down. Okay, number 2 subject, they took a fire extinguishers, okay, from the apartment, and they placed them in hallways and outside. By the fire department code, okay, from the world, see, the fire extinguishers cannot be put on outside or in a hallway because of the rust, okay, of the, you would say, non-corrosive structure they have to be, okay? So you see, they don't gonna work, you know? So you see, you guys didn't even read it properly in the, how you call it, the code for the fire extinguishers, okay? You guys should check it, okay? Number 3 is, they stole my bike, and one of the policemen, okay, came over there and did a proper investigation, okay? He botched the investigation, and, you know, police chief, okay, cover up for it. Okay, so you see, this is my comments. Okay, so you see, you guys have to a little bit improve, and I give a this envelopes like this, okay, to the mayor of Albuquerque. I give a chief of police, chief of fire department, and Clarissa Pena. Okay. We need help with a representation because, you see, there we have signed a petition, 180 people, and nobody wants to represent us. Everybody's thrown us overboard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Alvarez.
Evening, everyone. Before I start, I just want to say that God's Warehouse wants to give back to the community. They're asking for volunteers. So anyone that wants to go and be a volunteer to go to God's Warehouse on Tennessee and help them out. My speech today is going to be about immigrants. We need the immigrants here in the United States to help us pay for the deficits. A lot of the immigrants that I know here in Albuquerque got their own business, they got their own homes. They're paying taxes, and they're helping us with the deficits every year or every month practically, or maybe every day. That deficit is growing more and more and more, and as far as I know, it's never been down to zero. And I know for a fact that a lot of people that want to come to the United States are eager to work, they're eager to learn, and they don't care how much money they're going to be paying towards taxes or to pay for the deficits. Every time that immigration or ICE makes a sweep, and they say that they're going to take out the bad people that are causing problems here, they don't really get the bad people. They get the people that have been here for 12, 13, 14 years already, that are established, they got homes, they got businesses, And the reason why I know that, because I know a lot of people that are here in Albuquerque. A couple of years ago, when they did did a sweep, when they got through taking out everybody that is established, our economy went down. These people go and get a federal PIN number to work and pay their taxes, and here comes ICE and destroys the whole family. This is not right. We're all humans.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. The next speaker is Rebecca Plutino, followed by Marianne Barlow, followed by Geraldine Amato.
Good evening, President Pena, members of the council. My name is Rebecca Plutino. I'm here tonight representing the Greater Albuquerque Innkeepers Association. We want to share good news about tourism. You already heard about the great success of National Senior Games. The lodging community is so grateful for the organizing crew from the city and from the community that helped put that immense operation together. We were also inspired by the almost 5,000 community volunteers that went out to the 21 venues to help create a great event. We were inspired by the athletes, the senior athletes, of course, and we are really grateful and want to express our thanks to the city and APD for taking the extra security measures that were required to help safeguard the visitors and their property. So thanks for that. Fiscal year end results are not all in, but they are going to be very positive for the tourism sector. Lodgers tax collections have been consistently showing strong growth year over year. And of course, the June results will be very good with senior games. Through April, we were up 8.3%. Also, group tour business in the city is up 27.6%, with almost 20,000 group tour room nights in the city this year, or fiscal year. Occupancy and ADR are up almost 5% respectively, and employment for the calendar year, January through May, is up to over 45,000 employees, or people employed in hospitality. Quick things coming up, the Brewery Collectibles Club is bringing in an anticipated 1,400 room nights at the end of this month. Center for Action and Contemplation, which is a locally headquartered organization, will bring in 1,900 room nights the very first part of September, and Catholic Charities will actualize 1,300 room nights at the end of September. So thanks for your continued support and the collective support of the city for tourism. It is a huge positive contributor to Albuquerque's economy. So thank you.
Thank you. Marianne Barlow, followed by Geraldine Amato, followed by Laurel McCloskey.
Thank you, President and councilors, for hearing me. I'm a longtime resident of the La Luz community over on the west side, one of the first, if not the first, development over in the west side. And we were designed to fit right into the mesa so that you hardly know that we're there. We also designated over 30 acres of protected open space to ensure that the native flora and fauna of the area was protected. Over these 50 years that we have been in existence, we've had a lot of encouragement and help from several mayors and city councils, which we greatly appreciate, and we appreciate your concerns for our community at this time. As you know, the west side, since we were developed, has certainly mushroomed a lot. And we're concerned about the same excellence in architecture and environment that was shown to us is now somewhat threatened by rampant kind of unevenly enforced development. Most people I know in all ethnic groups really want to keep Albuquerque unique. and have it environmentally and historically protected. So I just want to thank you for your help in the past and for your support in the future, and thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Ms. Geraldine Amato, followed by Laura McCloskey, followed by Mike Davidson.
Good evening. Despite the fact that the federal flag is worshipped at the beginning of these meetings, it does not stand for the Republic. We are not taught properly, we are being deceived, and as a nation, we're in a decadent trend. And unless the good people realize where we are, we quit playing at government and begin governing ourselves, we will inherit a totalitarian disaster here. If you look in history, Patrick Henry, famous for saying, "Give me liberty or give me death," protested the adoption of the federal Constitution in the Virginia Constitutional Convention. In June of 1787, you could look up those speeches. Today we are under a private commercial jurisdiction, not much different than the original 13 colonies. The municipal corporation of which this city is a part is a private corporation with a public face. Our resources of this nation are controlled by the international financiers. We own nothing. We are dealing right now with Federal Reserve script, credit script. Anything we buy with credit, who owns it? The issuer of the credit. We are under the illusion of ownership, any of us who think we own something. We are owned. Most of us are mercenary slaves today. We're getting paid for being slaves and submitting to unlawful authority, but there'll be a time coming, no one will be paid. We could also say that we are a coast-to-coast Masonic lodge. The Masons are master impersonators. They have taken the leadership of every organization, both public and private, in this nation, and their act is badder than the best act of the genuine folks. The churches are controlled by Masons. I'm a Christian. I thought that the preachers and the Sunday school teachers were Christians. They weren't. They were Masons pretending to be Christians, and so is the case today with every institution. And the only time limits are on public comment here. The public is not in charge. We are privatized. And anytime somebody wants to step forward to declare that the people should be able to govern themselves, they're considered radical.
Thank you, Ms. Amato.
Extremists.
Next speaker is...
Any questions?
McCloskey, Laurel McCloskey, followed by Mike Davidson. Mike Davidson? So I'm assuming Laurel is not here. Okay. Mike. Followed by Jeannie Aguirre, followed by Joshua Martinez.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I live at Tramway and Central. You want me over here? I live at the Tramway and Central area. We've got a few problems up there all the time, but I've lived up there over 40 years. I just want to address the bus turnaround up there at Winona and Tramway. It gets worse by the day. There's single buses, double buses. And then today I saw one of the new buses up there, so it gets very crowded up there. I go by there daily, several times. That area is also a bike lane. So you got buses, you got bike lanes, you got homeless people wandering around there, sometimes people intoxicated. It's a very dangerous intersection. So my point of being here is I wish the city council will take a look at this and maybe build a turnaround up there somewhere. I see a real nice one at Montgomery and Tramway. There's a nice bus turnaround there, and I understand there's a nice one on the west side. But where we live, at corner of Winona and Tramway is just a very, very big hazard. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of that. I know Don is. But that's all I got to say. Any questions?
Thank you,
Just one. Could we have the transit director, I know we've had a new transit director come and discuss that. I know we have some federal money coming in, and they're doing some planning, but could you have that issue addressed the next council meeting?
Mr. President and Councilor, yes, we'll get you some information and visit with the gentleman a little bit about some of the new plans for some of the improvements to that area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Next speaker is Jeannie Aguirre, followed by Joshua Martinez, followed by Dan Regan.
As I was here last meeting, I want to just thank you guys for your time. This is in regards to Complete Streets, and on behalf of my daughter that was killed at a crosswalk last March. I'm standing here, my daughter's name, Eliza Justine Almuina. I'm asking the council, pleading from a mother's point of view, and I'm sure many of you are parents. Oh my God. I'm asking that we keep Albuquerque safe. I stand with Complete Streets. As a mother, I worry about our kids' future. I believe that if we can all come together to working on Complete Streets, we can protect and save many more lives. I know that we can make a change in our city to make it safe for everyone. After there was some lights that were put up for my daughter, there was another child hit. So we need to work harder. And it's not just for our children, but there's many people that ride the bus, many pedestrians out there. And as a city, if we can't manage to come together to make the city safe, what are we leaving our children behind? What is this world gonna come to? I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. My heart's out there. I don't want that or anything like that to happen to Albuquerque. I leave you guys with a question. How many more fatalities do we need to see in order to make a change here? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Aguirre. Please no applause. Please no applause. Thank you, Ms. Aguirre. We're really sorry about your loss. Mr. Joshua Martinez.
Yes, good evening. Madam President, City Councilors, my name is Joshua Martinez. I am the Community Impact Director for the American Heart Association, also a resident of the West Side, as well as a husband and a father of a 4-year-old son. I also stand in support of the Complete Streets Ordinance that will be voted on by the council this evening. Most of our evening routine is that of my family is walking around our neighborhood or biking around our neighborhood, which I'm actually missing this evening, to show my support to be here this evening. But we want to make sure that my family and all the citizens of Albuquerque are safe as we do these activities, as we walk, as we bike. And as an organization, we want to see that physical activity is also available to our citizens of Albuquerque, that they're able to walk and bike in a safe community. A bicyclist, yet again, this morning passed away due to someone, being hit on their bicycle. But again, we stand in support of the Complete Streets Ordinance and hope the City Council supports it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dan Regan, followed by Ruben Weiss, followed by Anthony Rael.
Madam President and councilors, the Rio Grande is one of Mama Nature's better gifts to our state. For Albuquerque, the river provides us with more than 17 miles of a bosque, a green belt in the middle of a desert in the high desert. Our comprehensive plan has two primary policies, 10 and 11, which speak to the enhancement, preservation, and protection of all sensitive and open spaces. Our city has even established an open space advisory board as a formal body to advise the city on how this enhancement, preservation, and protection can best happen. I'm assuming that the City Council consults the advice and the decisions of this Open Space Advisory Board. I spent some time at the city's Nature Center recently and looking at a reference book on the wildlife in the middle Rio Grande region. I came across some new information for myself. We have more than 250 kinds of invertebrates in the bosque. Bugs, crickets, worms, beetles, dragonflies. We have over 275 kinds of vertebrate living in the bosque area, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. As I thumbed through the 250 pages of these creatures, a very short poem from 40 years ago came to my mind, and I paraphrase. Humans who cannot make a worm have no problems creating many gods. Now we can clone and transplant and mess with stem cells and splice genetic materials, and we now have CRISPR. But I don't think we can even now actually create a worm. It's kind of like Carl Sagan said, if you want to make an apple pie from scratch, you have to go back to the Big Bang moment. We already know that cottonwoods in the bosque will no longer reproduce naturally because of the controls that we put on the water flow of the river, which we had to do. And to my knowledge, we haven't solved that problem yet. So I ask you as City Council to be very protective of all of the plants and animals that live in the bosque that we cannot replace. As E.E. Cummings said, the world of made is not a world of born. We can destroy some stuff that's very valuable, guys. I'd appreciate your help with saving it.
Please, no applause. Councilor Benton?
Thanks, Mr. Reagan, for that. You know, we had quite a debate about the Bosque a few years ago with the trail. That trail turned out to be super popular, but I was on the wrong side of the debate. A subtlety of that debate about the trail, which was a fairly heavy-duty facility that was built in the Bosque in terms of mechanized equipment and compacted soil and so forth. Kind of the unknown in the part that we don't understand about that is when we build a facility like that in the Bosque, what does that do to things like insect life and things that live in the ground and things that animals that have to cross that trail. So when you go down and enjoy it, walking on your bike and so forth, be respectful of every other part of that Bosque. It is a nice trail to walk or ride on, without question. But we do have to consider our own impacts as humans when we intervene in a place like the Bosque.
Our next speaker is Ruben Weiss, followed by Anthony Rael, followed by Marissa Trujillo.
Thank you. I'm concerned about the effects of urban development on the Rio Grande Bosque, as just discussed. I live in the Northeast Heights. In 1980, our family decided to move to New Mexico based on quality of life criteria. One of the most important considerations was our desire to live in a city where it was relatively easy to get in touch with nature. As a result, 2 or 3 days a week, my wife and I explore nearby nature by going on bird walks and hikes. Often these take us through the bosque. This ecosystem is one of the most enchanting things in the land of enchantment. Please do whatever you can to preserve and protect it. There are too many issues to discuss in this time limit, but just for one example, Please take a look at a USGS map of geologic faults in this area. As they say in California, if you find a fault, don't dwell on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Anthony Rayal? Anthony Rayal? Going once. Marissa Trujillo? Marissa Trujillo? Joe Sabatini? Followed by Sharon Alexander, followed by Eileen Mann.
Thank you, Madam President, councilors. I'm Joe Sabatini, and I'm with the Near North Valley Neighborhood Association. We speak to one of the last items on your agenda tonight, R19-162. I was one of a number of people who invested 5 years of my life in 2005 to 2010 working on the North 4th Street Corridor Redevelopment Plan. And now that has been folded into the new Integrated Development Ordinance. Well, we started to see the effects of that. Our original goals were that 4th Street could be much more of a walkable, inviting, and economically vibrant center of our community. 4th Street's had a long history of and different aspects to it, but we needed to turn that around, and we worked very hard to get a plan that would do that. What we're seeing instead, there are things that need to be fixed about that, the development of it. We're getting increased development, but it's these very boxy, not articulated, overscale places that, like that disgrace that's next to the St. Therese Church that is architecturally distinguished. We need to step back and tweak that so that we get good articulation, parking for visitors, things that didn't seem to get into the original plan. And we think that the 19-162 will do that, along with its floor amendment. We appreciate Councilor Benton and his staff, Shauna Schultz, and all of you for your consideration of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Alexander, followed by Eileen Mann, followed by Teresa Lachke.
Good evening, and thank you, President Pena and the City Council members. My name is Sharon Alexander. I live in a beautiful place called Four Hills. 6 months ago, I joined the Women Taking Back Our Neighborhoods. And some of my friends asked why. Pictures tell stories. I brought a bulletin board with pictures, but I was told I couldn't bring it in. But I want you to visualize every morning and night with panhandlers on the medium strips begging for money, running through the traffic to collect the money, then leaving their trash everywhere. I have personally called 911 twice to report someone passed out on the medium strip. Just recently, August the 2nd, there were 3 tents and 7 to 10 people sleeping in the bicycle park on Tramway. Our children can no longer play in the park. I don't even take my morning's walks in the park for safety reasons. It has been taken over by transients. Women Taking Back Our Neighborhoods are also addressing vacant and rundown buildings which have become magnets for crime and transients. Just recently, red tag buildings are being cited. perhaps the city is moving in the right direction in regards to Franklin Plaza. We want this 10-year scourge of the city replaced by vibrant business, such as the film industry. We want our area cleaned up and are willing to put the time and effort to accomplish this task. We make our homes there, raise our children here, and we are not going to be driven out by crime and decay. 1 week ago, Jessica Dyer with the Albuquerque Journal reported Mayor Keller's discussing current and future business developments across Albuquerque, representing a total investment of $930 million. Yet none of these projects are located in District 9.
Ms. Alexander, your time is up. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eileen Mann, followed by Teresa Lachke, followed by Kimberly Brown.
Madam President and councilors, the residents of Albuquerque are rapidly losing their historic and cultural resources in District 9. We need the city to be working to save them. Our group wrote to the mayor on June 26th regarding a proposed land swap between the state property formerly known as the Ponderosa RV Park on East Central Avenue and the city's property at Singing Arrow Park in order to prevent a 15,000 square foot building in the park proposed by Don Harris for Family and Community Services. That building would minimize the park's archaeological site and obscure the open space property recently acquired in the Tejeras Canyon below the park. Before we began working with the State Land Commission on this proposal, there was no interest in the Ponderosa property on Central. It was, however, one of the original proposed locations for the Singing Arrow Community Center in 2013. Now that the state's property is available and the city appears likely to purchase or lease, the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partners are vying for public funds to erect a low-income senior facility similar to Quattro downtown. I'm going to turn this over to my friend Teresa.
Thank you. My name is Teresa Loschke, and I will continue to read the letter that was sent to Mayor Keller.
We will begin with the 2-minute time frame, so hers would have lapsed, so we'll start with the 2-minute now. Thank you.
Neighbors object to the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnerships proposal. In fact, at the GAHP's public information meeting, no one was in favor of the proposal, because as residents pointed out, it had no place along a business thoroughfare instead of in a residential area. And we are already saturated with Section 8 housing in the area. High-density apartments prevent future business development, i.e. restaurants, along historic Route 66. Such apartments, one, will not revitalize the area, but create impediments to grow. And two, such a concentration violates the HUD mandate of the qualified allocation process, which no one in the city appears to be addressing. A better use of the property could satisfy both the interests of tourism and community. Such a center there will be free up and open up the Singing Arrow Park tourism, open space, hiking connecting trails through other historic Tijeras Canyon sites, and would better preserve the historic pre-territorial Spanish archaeological site for exhibiting and cultural heritage. Both the state and the MRA have listened to us and responded favorably, but we need you to help us save Singing Arrow Park and the Ponderosa site. We ask you to put Dan Harris' proposed second community center on the Ponderosa site instead of allowing high-density apartments on Central that would block revitalization instead of promoting the much-needed and promised historic East Central revitalization.
Thank you
very much.
Our next speaker is Kimberly Brown, followed by Karen Little, followed by Lois Stearns.
Good evening, Madam President and City Councilors. Residents of the historic East Entry area to Albuquerque are getting both pretty impatient and kind of disgusted because we see that over the last 10 years, the city has still not addressed two major issues in our area. The current Singing Arrow Community Center, consisting of temporary buildings, should have been replaced in 2011 and 2013 with permanent structures using the general obligation bonds previously allocated for that purpose. Children testified under oath in 2018 that the dangerous substandard conditions persist. It is the only remaining substandard community center in the entire city. Councilor Harris repeatedly stated at both neighborhood association meetings in the District 9 and at the mayor's inauguration that his top priority was to proceed with using the previously allocated funds for the mock-up build of the archaeological site in Singing Arrow Park. If these two promised and funded projects had been completed in a timely fashion, both children and the San Miguel de Conuel Spanish Village in Singing Arrow Park would have been appropriately safeguarded. According to the 2013 needs assessment, children are left in harm's way, and the much-needed tourist attraction of the mock-up build has been replaced with the destructive proposal of a second 15,000 square foot community center that will obstruct both tourism and access to the open space, while at the same time remove part of the only park in the area with valuable green space. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Karen Little, followed by Lois Stearns, followed by Valerie McFarland.
Hi, I'm going to finish with, when this area was declared a metropolitan development area 10 years ago, we were assured that federal funding would be used to revitalize that area, as specific in the East Gateway MRA plan. Instead, these funds have intentionally been diverted elsewhere. I'm sure you're not surprised about that. How can the needs for the community's current and future historic needs be served? The city can reserve the architectural site and its permanent area according to state historic and cultural guidelines by making it Route 66 tourist attraction. A parking lot has already been bought for the park and would serve this purpose. It could also repair and replace the existing Singing Arrow Community Center on its footprint as it exists. The money has been there for 10 years, but nothing has been done. Let's get on with these two projects that the community wants and deserves. Let's not leave children in harm's way or lose the opportunity to display and understand how important the Spanish cultural heritage for both residents and visitors alike. In closing, the reason we're here again is because your promises and expressed intentions have not been kept, disappointing our faith and our trust in you.
Our next speaker is Lois Stearns, followed by Valerie McFarland, followed by Judith Young.
President Pena and city councilors. My name is Lois Stearns, and I have lived in Four Hills Village for 24 years. In this case, Our neighborhood has a unique position along the historic Route 66. For the past year, I have been following the progress of the Route 66 National Historic Designation Trails Act, proposed by the U.S. Congress, which is currently on the table. That bill would provide financial incentives for rural cities and others like Albuquerque to recognize, preserve, promote, and fund historic Route 66. But while we wait, our city needs to act on the enactment already in place and funded. The historic east entrance of Albuquerque cannot wait any longer for your immediate and definitive action. District 9 has seen no progress toward these goals. In 2009, the public funded $2.7 million to restore the Route 66 open space in the Tijeras Arroyo near Four Hills. Where was that $2.7 million spent? In 2014, the city passed and enacted R-14-115 for the Route 66 Action Plan to revitalize and guide future developments
Thank
along
you.
Route 66 in Albuquerque.
Thank you, Ms. Stearns. Our next speaker is Valerie McFarland, followed by Judith Young, followed by David Day.
Thank you, President and City Councilors, for having us tonight. My name is Valerie McFarland, and I am speaking on behalf of the Women Taking Back Our Neighborhoods. I am here to tell you that each and every council member, the public, and even the mayor may have been duped as a result of what happened at your last meeting. On June 17, Don Harris apparently single-handedly and in violation of federal guidelines initiated Amendment B to the East Gateway MRA boundary. That enactment violated the public trust and avoided the city government's system of checks and balances. It also makes each council member at risk of being complicit in approving Amendment B in violation of federal guidelines. Here's the simple timeline of events preceding June 17, 2019. First, February 5, 2019, a private letter, that is Darden, was sent to the city asking for an insignificant change to property already listed in the MRA. On February 21, 2019, MRA staff approved the minor change but categorically denied Don Harris's request to include the major change of Singing Arrow Park. On March 22, 2019, the Albuquerque Development Commission accepted the MRA's original minor change, that is, but categorically denied Singing Arrow Park to be included in that minor change, Amendment A. Not only did the park not meet the criteria, but adding a park would be labeled a major change, which requires extensive community public hearings. That ADC decision not to include Singing Arrow Park was deemed not appealable by law 148484. On March 23, 2019,
Thank you, Ms. Farland. Our next speaker is Judith Young, David Day, and followed by Peggy Neff.
President Pena and City Councilors, as Valerie explained, I will complete the timeline of the East Gateway MRA boundary change. Just to recap, March the 23rd, 2019, Don Harris was denied absolutely, categorically and by law to include Singing Arrow Park in the MRA boundary change that was signed by the mayor as Amendment A. Exactly 2 months later, the first and only public notice of the Singing Arrow Park being added to the MRA was buried in the government legal section of the newspaper. I, Judy Young, did everything in my power to learn about this change before you voted. I was denied this information both in IPRA requests and direct calls to city departments. On June 17, 2019, at the council meeting, without having given notice to the public, MRA, ADC, the mayor, Don Harris, and Don Harris alone violated Law 14-8-4-8-A-1 and amended the MRA boundary change to include Singing Arrow Park as Amendment B. The entire council then voted 9-0 in favor of the resolution. The measure then went to the mayor with a stinging note that the city council can do this nefarious deed because of its power in the city charter. Is this merely lack of transparency, of checks and balances, or is this an entirely premeditated criminal federal offense to misuse federal funds? I urge you to rescind this enactment tonight without delay. Our group is recommending that the City Council move to recall the resolution, restore the integrity of the MRA boundary, and uphold the MRA Department and ADC's recommendation to exclude the Singing Arrow Park in the minor change to the boundary. The addition of an entire park is not a minor change, but is instead a shell game played by a desperate city councilor for reasons that he has not made transparent to you, his constituents, or apparently the mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Young. David Day? Please, no applause. Peggy, Councilor Harris.
Just a couple comments. The building permit should be issued for the new community center in next month. We should break ground March of 2020. The MRA was in the Metropolitan Redevelopment Plan, which had lots and lots of the Singing Arrow Community Centers in the plan, as well as the archaeological site. And so all the MRA boundary change did is amend the boundary to match the plan. So it was hardly nefarious or something that was without transparency. And also, point of clarification is the city, we amended the boundary area to include city property. So the only property that was at stake was the city property. So if we own the property, that's certainly not doing anything to any property owner's rights. And lastly, we have $750,000 for the archaeological site, which I obtained and is in the process of getting programmed right now by the University of New Mexico and our Parks Department. So those are just some responses. There's a whole lot of wild inaccuracies about what's been stated, but I can't address that now.
Thank you, Councilor Harris. Mr. Day.
Madam President and councilors, I'm here on a different subject, P19-2. So the two seats next to Councilor Davis, I'm asking that you consider filling those by splitting up District 2. It's the largest in the city. It's got a lot of infrastructure needs, and I think we'd all be well served if it was split into two districts. It was reconnoitered a couple years ago, but if you look at some other cities our size, the 11 councilors, the city councilors, it's pretty average, on average, for a city our size. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Terry O'Hare, followed by Michael Gonzalez, and our final speaker for the evening is Renee Horvath in public comment.
You missed me. You called my name, but that summary didn't include it.
Peggy Neff?
Yes?
Yes, you're the next speaker.
Oh, that's not what you said.
The next one now?
Go ahead, if you want. Tell them who you are, they'll figure it out.
Welcome back, counselors. Hope you had a good July. I'll bet you've noticed something different in Civic Plaza. It's kind of a really big sculpture that's blocking one of the road lanes, and it's the One Albuquerque monument. I want to let you know that the ADA coordinator for the city has been notified that there's several ADA violations regarding this sculpture. and nothing's been done. So I'm not expecting a lot, to be honest. I've been coming to these meetings for almost 2.5, 3 years. And I want you to know, though, that this thing needs to be moved. It's a liability. It's what I understand is that this staffer didn't even consult with DMD. It was designed to be placed on the plaza, except that there's a parking garage under the plaza, kind of a minor detail. So then it was put in the roadway between Civic Plaza and the convention center. It has do not climb signs all over it, and of course people climb it. It has a very ineffectual rope boundary that is not protection for blind citizens using canes. And that's the big issue. You have protrusions sticking out of this thing, and the actual thing that's like this high. It really needs, and I explained this to the current temporary ADA coordinator, you need to have a very stable, firm, high footer that runs the entire way around the piece, because that's where a blind person's cane will hit and be informed that there is a protrusion, which is dangerous, right above you. So this little temporary thing on ropes is useless. There's other things. It's placed like 1 foot from the actual detectable warning bumps. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. O'Hare. I would just like to ask the administration if we can just look into that, because, yeah, that's a biggie for me.
Madam President. I'm sorry.
Madam President, we are aware of some of the issues that she has pointed out, and we are moving forward to address them. So we appreciate her coming to us and telling us.
Thank you. Councilor Davis, then Councilor Gibson.
Ms. O'Hare, I just want to let you know, and I appreciate very much, we were contacted by a few folks last week with some of those similar concerns, and we referred them to Mr. Contreras and Mr. Nieto in the mayor's office. The city's disability advocate attorneys worked with them to address some of those concerns, and I know they've outlined some of those in an email that went back. And so if you're not on that loop, feel free to reach out to me or Mr. Contreras in the mayor's office. I know they've been working on that.
Councilor Gibson, then Councilor Benton.
Thank you, Madam President. So I have a question for the administration on this. Is where it is now, is actually a couple of questions. Is that its final location, or will we be moving it elsewhere or moving it around? Or?
Madam President and Councilor Gibson, no, that is not its permanent location. It will be moved. It's designed to be portable, to move to different events and venues. And so we are in the process of making the determination of what the next venue may be. But yes, it's designed to be portable.
Is that its home when it's not on the road, so to speak?
Madam President and Councilor Gibson, no, that's not its home.
The home of record?
No, that would not be its home of record. It's not where it's going to go. It's actually, we've looked at the structural integrity of the plaza, of the park, and it'll actually be located elsewhere where it's not going to be in a area like a street or an area where it would impede traffic.
One last question. What is it made out of?
Madam President and Councilor Gibson, it was a welded steel piece that was erected by a local.
Sheet metal welded?
I don't know the total
plates?
information, plates, but I can get that for you.
17,000 pounds.
I'd love to find out
It is a very
what the
very
plate,
heavy
what the thickness is.
We'll get that
I
for you.
like stuff like that.
Okay.
So, and anyway, Ms. O'Hare, thank you for coming. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilor Benton.
I just wanted to thank Ms. O'Hare for her service on the ADA board, and we did get something done, I think, with regard to the signals near the facility downtown, and that was a really good dialogue and proper outcome. Yeah. So thanks for your positivity and working on that.
Thank you. I would encourage all of you to tell department heads, especially departments of one, that they need to involve DMD and this board from the beginning, not now, when something is in, I mean, there's signs screwed into the asphalt. So this might be its temporary home, but you're going to have to uplift those. Also, Mr. Rael, no matter where this goes, there's going to be the potential for canes to always need that barrier. I'm just saying that this needs to be looked at, no matter where it lives. So, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Peggy Neff. Thank you for deferring to Ms. O'Hare.
Oh, no problem. I too have low expectations. I too have been here before. I represent West La Cueva Neighborhood Association in Councilman Winter's district. I'm here to call for oversight of the planning department. We need oversight. We need a concerned external body from you to inform you of what's going on at the planning department. Things are awry. I've sent my letter to the Inspector General. I've made my notes. I've complained to many of you personally, and I have fought with many of your policy analysts. In my neighborhood, we are up next to San Pedro corridor and Alameda corridor and I-25 are so tight together that a whole study needs to be in place. You did this for the west side of Alameda, at least you were instructed to. It's not yet in our hands what needs to happen. But there are people who are building all along the corridors there, and traffic is a major risk. We have had community meetings, we have had deaths. I am echoing to you, how many more fatalities do you need before you put traffic mediations into place in my community? San Pedro, Alameda corridor, it needs to be done before you do any more allowing of site plans along those corridors. You need to have in hand a proper integrated traffic analysis and plan for the corridor, and it needs to involve community. I know y'all don't like to involve community. I understand how the community voice has been taken out of our hands, and you no longer have to listen to us at the EPC and at the DRB, and you don't have to even make any. If you look at Resolution 27/1980 and look at point E1, you need to quantify neighborhood voice and get it into some sort of planning department's policies, because
Thank you.
neighborhood voice is
Thank you,
here.
Ms. Neff. Our next speaker is Michael Gonzalez, followed by our final speaker this evening, Renee Horvath.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me time to speak. Sorry if I come off rude, blunt. I'm just mentally, physically, spiritually drained. I'm here to speak on behalf of my daughter, Liza Justine Almuina, who was killed while crossing at a crosswalk. And on behalf of Complete Streets, the Complete Street Ordinance, it should be obvious what we should do. Make the street safer for everyone, for all the citizens of Albuquerque. Like I said, I'm sorry if I sound morbid, but we don't live forever. It's inevitable that we all pass away. Now, when you're sick, you have time to prepare for it, but when your life is taken, a life is taken with no notice, I mean, it's just gone. Our daughter was killed, and that's it. It left a big void in our family. My wife cries herself to sleep. My boys cry themselves to sleep. My daughter, my 4-year-old, looks out the window at times and wishes upon stars that her daughter or her sister would come back. And I've told her to buckle up, because if we crash, she can die. And she says, well, I'll be able to go with Justine. That's not something a 4-year-old should say. Now, the Complete Street project is the ordinance. It's to make the street safer for all pedestrians, all cyclists, young, old. I mean, there were boys here. I'm sure you couldn't look them in the face and say, hey, we don't care about your lives to make these streets safer, or everyone sitting here to say, hey, we don't care about you guys. We're not going to make the streets safer. Everyone's got family members, friends that walk streets. I really don't know what else to say other than it should be obvious what we should do and protect our citizens. Whatever we can do, if we got to put up street lights, signs, make the crossing repaint them. We just need to make the streets safer for everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, and on behalf of the city council here, we are sorry for your loss. Our Councilor Borrego, oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Benton.
Yeah, I just want to also thank the Gonzalez family for coming down. It's really courageous to come and speak as you have, and this is not the only time, so thank you. And yeah, we have to do better, and I appreciate your message.
Ms. Horvath. And after she's done speaking, we will be taking our dinner break.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Renee Horvath, and I live on the west side in Taylor Ranch. I'm here tonight just because of the IDO amendments have been coming up, and we're going to be dealing with that. And we've worked on it quite a bit. It has been said that the IDO provides more protections for the neighborhoods and for protecting our open space areas than what we've previously had before in our planning documents. But what I'm kind of concerned about is that we're seeing a lot more stuff that we've seen happen with our sector plans, and that a lot of these protections and design guidelines are kind of being waved away. So I'd like to see us, as we go through working on the IDO, that we see that these design guidelines and protective requirements be beefed up, and that our overlay zones should be evaluated, because there's still a lot lacking that we've had in our sector plans to help preserve some of the integrity along our corridors, like the Coors Corridor, and that to recognize that some of the really nice development that we have along that corridor started with the Coors Corridor plan. And then, you know, I got involved because I started to see development not following consistently like it had before. And so, and then it took public involvement to do the research, to see what the problems were, and to come before you and to bring it back. And I think we're going to have to kind of do the same with the IDO, and to make it, if we're really interested in preserving our assets in this city. So I just wanted to bring that to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Horvath. We will return after our dinner break. Thank you.